Okay, we're going to turn back to our top story now, and those wildfires in Alberta have forced nearly 30,000 people from their homes. More than 100 fires are burning, or 98 fires right now actually, and close to a third of them, 27 in fact, are deemed to be out of control. The Alberta government has formally requested assistance from the federal government. They are asking for a wide range of assistance, including firefighting resources, strategic airlift capabilities, engineering support, and the deployment of the Canadian Armed Forces personnel.
During our call, Prime Minister Trudeau confirmed that the military will be sent to assist if necessary. We will continue to keep communication channels open with the federal government as we respond to this unprecedented situation.
Okay, here to discuss this is Federal Minister of Emergency Preparedness, Bill Blair. Minister, thanks for joining us.
Of course, David.
Alberta's requesting a pretty wide range of support. How soon can the government provide these supports to the province?
Yeah, we've been working with the Alberta government right through the weekend. I've had a number of conversations with my counterpart, Minister Ellis. Our government operations center has been knitted in with the Provincial Emergency Ops Center. We've been mobilizing resources and working to respond to the request for assistance. We received that this afternoon. We're moving on all of their requests as quickly as possible.
One of the requests they've asked, I've never seen the wording like this in a request for assistance letter before, Minister. Alberta's looking for military personnel to provide a measure of security for evacuated communities to guard against looting and disorder. Is that a risk you normally are asked to deal with? How do you interpret that request from Alberta?
Well, I listen very carefully. They obviously have security risks in those communities that have been evacuated. Generally, that's primarily a police response. Also within the request for assistance was for additional police resources. They'll be bringing forward what we call a Section 9 request to enable us to move police resources, RCMP officers from other jurisdictions, other provinces into Alberta to assist with that. What they've described is primarily a security policing responsibility, and we'll make sure that we bring whatever federal resources are appropriate to assist them in that request.
Is that an appropriate role for the military to provide a policing capacity domestically, Minister?
Well, I think it is appropriate for the police to do the policing job, but at the same time, there's clearly responsibilities that only the Canadian Armed Forces, they have extraordinary capabilities. They are available to do strategic airlift. I've already spoken to Minister Anand. We've also talked about some construction engineering capability and equipment that the Canadian Armed Forces have. In every case, and I've had to deal with far too many of these types of emergencies, but in every case, when we ask the Canadian Armed Forces, they respond quickly and appropriately, and we'll make sure we put the right resources to the right tasks and make sure that we take advantage of the authorities and the capabilities of the armed forces and the police in these circumstances.
I wonder, Minister, though, if the armed forces is the right resource for the task, because we keep asking the soldiers and the members of the Canadian Armed Forces to respond to natural disasters. And Wayne Ayers says it has stretched capacity too far. Like, is it time to develop some sort of a national, disaster relief agency rather than relying on the military all the time?
And we've been working really hard in working with a number of civil society partners, developing a humanitarian workforce to respond to these types of events. And we're working with the provinces and territories in building up local capacity as well. But the Canadian Armed Forces, when an emergency exists, and certainly one exists here, we have called upon them to respond domestically. But I think it's really important that we use their limited resources because there is an impact on their capacity and their deployability to do their very important job of representing Canada militarily around the world. We want to make sure that when we do call upon the Canadian Armed Forces, we use them appropriately, and it's always done in consultation with the Chief of Defence Staff and with his people to make sure that they have that capacity. It is not our intention to diminish their ability to do the important job that we already asked them to do, but there are resources available that we can bring to bear in these circumstances. We've consulted with them, and they're working hard to make sure that they deliver for the people of Alberta.
Right. So I know there's a procedure here. There are some reporters asking Premier Smith about how quickly and why wasn't the military already there. You need the official request, and you've now received that. You've had that letter. She referenced some 300 Armed Forces members that were in Alberta that are trained in firefighting, for example. So I wonder, Minister, the bottom line is how quickly do you think the CAF members will be in theater, in the field helping as needed in Alberta.
Well, again, just to be really clear, the Canadian Armed Forces actually does have some limited firefighting capability.
Yep.
But what we have also been using is there's a national agency that enables us to coordinate and draw upon firefighting resources from across the country. Today, there are already firefighters from Quebec and Ontario fighting fires in Alberta. Alberta has asked for additional resources. We'll go and get those resources from the people who are trained appropriately, and we'll get those resources to do the job that's necessary in Alberta. And you know, we'll make sure that we use the Canadian Armed Forces appropriately. And if there are more appropriate resources that we can bring to assist Alberta, we'll do that job too.